They said the evidence was airtight. A tragic case, a violent scene, a grieving family desperate for closure, and a suspect the town wanted behind bars. In 2003, the murder of 21-year-old Lena Marsten shook the quiet community of Brookhaven, Virginia. The trial was quick, emotional, and decisive. Prosecutors told the jury they had everything they needed: the victim, the motive, and a trail of DNA that could only belong to one man. Elias Hart, 24 years old. A grocery store clerk with no criminal record, no history of violence, and no ties to the victim beyond brief acquaintance. Yet the jury took only 6 hours to convict him. Life in prison. No parole. Case closed. At least, that's what everyone believed. But they didn't know the DNA evidence they trusted more than anything was never actually verified, because the sample was too degraded for human analysts to interpret. 2 decades later, AI did what humans couldn't. And the truth it uncovered was something no one in Brookhaven was ready for. June 4th, 2003. Lena Marsten, a nursing student, left her late shift at Brookhaven Medical Center around 11:20 p.m. She never made it home. Search teams found her the next morning in Cedar Ridge Park. Her car was unlocked, her purse untouched. No obvious signs of struggle, but there was blood, a lot of it, and a single piece of critical evidence. A torn scrap of Lena's shirt, clutched in her hand, with DNA smeared across the fabric. It was the kind of break investigators pray for. Except it wasn't. The DNA sample was barely readable. Too degraded. Too fragmented. But detectives pushed it anyway. A technician later testified. It's inconclusive, but consistent with the suspect. The jury only heard the second part. Elias Hart was arrested 48 hours later. Why him? Because he was the last known person to see Lena alive. A coworker said Lena had mentioned his name once. Police found him nervous during questioning, and he couldn't account for 32 minutes of his night. That was it. No fingerprints. No witness placing him at the park. No weapon. Just a degraded DNA sample and a detective who insisted Elias fit the profile. At trial, the prosecution painted a simple story with no rough edges. Rejected affection, jealous anger, a violent outburst. The jury never saw the inconsistencies, never learned what tests had failed, never heard that the DNA wasn't a match, only a possibility. And so Elias disappeared into a prison cell. Year after year, appeal after appeal rejected. Brookhaven moved on. The case gathered dust. The truth waited in silence until the technology caught up. In 2025, Virginia launched a statewide initiative, Cold Case AI, an automated system designed to reanalyze old evidence, run new compatibility models, and reconstruct unreadable DNA using machine learning algorithms trained on degraded forensic data. Brookhaven's 2003 case was one of the pilot files. The AI examined the biological samples for 17 minutes. Then it flagged the DNA as not consistent with known suspect, possible mixed sample, prior interpretation error likely. Investigators froze. A case built entirely on DNA just fell apart. But that wasn't the shocking part. When AI reconstructed the degraded DNA using probabilistic modeling and 2025 forensic datasets, it produced an entirely different identity profile. Not male, not Elias Hart, not even close. The profile was female, mid-30s, related to the victim. But Lena had no sisters, no aunts nearby, no maternal cousins in the area. So who did the AI find? Cold Case AI cross-referenced the DNA reconstruction with state databases. Then it produced a name. Marsten. Diane. Match confidence. 98.3%. Diane Marsten. Lena's mother. The same mother who sat through every court hearing, weeping as she watched the man she believed killed her daughter dragged away in cuffs. The same woman who begged the judge for the maximum sentence. Who told reporters, "Elias stole my daughter. He deserves life for what he did." But why was her DNA on the torn scrap of Lena's shirt? Investigators had two possibilities. Innocent transfer. They lived together, shared laundry, shared clothes. Diane was present at the scene. The first explanation worked. Mostly. Except for one detail AI uncovered next. The DNA on Lena's shirt wasn't surface contamination. It was blood-borne. Meaning, the sample didn't come from casual home contact. It came from an injury. A wound. Either Diane was hurt during her daughter's final moments, or she was the one who inflicted the wound. Investigators needed more. And AI wasn't done. During the reanalysis, cold case AI scanned associated evidence and flagged something unusual. A corrupted answering machine tape seized in 2003 but never used in court because it was too damaged to interpret. The recording was labeled simply, 2:08 a.m. unknown message. Humans in 2003 couldn't extract anything meaningful from it. AI enhanced it in under a minute. What emerged made investigators' blood run cold. A woman's voice, breathing hard, panicked. Then, Lena, stop, just stop, please. A loud crash, a gasp. Then a second voice, Lena's voice, crying, Mom, don't. The tape cut. Investigators sat in silence. This wasn't jealousy. Not a stranger. Not an obsessive coworker. This was something far more devastating. A fight. A family dispute. A moment that spiraled beyond control. And then was buried. By everyone. Detectives reopened the case quietly. No press. No public announcements. They obtained court permission to interview Lena Marsten. She didn't resist. In fact, she seemed relieved. As if she had been waiting 22 years for someone to knock. The interview began with small questions. Where were you on June 4th, 2003? Why was your DNA found on the shirt? Had you and Lena argued that night? Diane's hands trembled, but she answered. Not with lies. Not with deflection. With a single confession. I tried to stop her from leaving. She inhaled sharply. A long, broken breath. She told me she was moving out, dropping school, leaving everything. She wanted to go with someone I didn't trust. Who? Detectives leaned in. Diane looked down. She never said his name. She just kept saying, he understands me. So what happened? She ran. I grabbed her. The shirt tore. She fell. Hit her head on the doorframe. Silence. But she was alive. She got up. She left anyway. I didn't follow. Detectives stared at her. Nothing about her story explained. The blood in the park. The abandoned car. The cause of death. The missing 32 minutes. Why? Why confess halfway? Why only admit to a fight? Unless she wasn't telling everything. And AI found proof of that, too. Cold case AI isolated a second DNA fragment on the shirt scrap. One humans never detected. A fragment belonging to an unidentified male. Age estimate, early 20s. Genetic markers, non-local population. Not Elias Hart. Not anyone in the Marsten family. Not any known associate. A ghost. When investigators presented this to Diane, her reaction was instant. She went pale. Her voice cracked. I told her not to see him. Who? Detectives asked. Diane shook her head, eyes filling with fear. He wasn't from here. I never learned his last name. He showed up one night and after that, she changed. Detectives pressed her. Was he violent? She didn't answer, but her silence was enough. One final piece of evidence remained. A 2003 traffic cam near Cedar Ridge Park. The footage was considered useless then. Too dark. Too grainy. Too far. AI restored it. Frame by frame. At 12:57 a.m., Lena's car enters the frame. 1 minute later, another car follows. A white sedan. Unknown plates. Unknown driver. The AI enhancement sharpened the image. And for the first time in 22 years, the face of the driver became visible. Male. Early 20s. Dark hair. Sharp jawline. Not Elias Hart. Not anyone known to the case. But the AI-generated facial composite triggered a database alert. Possible match. Unidentified male linked to 2 other unsolved disappearances in 2001 and 2004. Brookhaven had never been dealing with a love-struck coworker. They had been dealing with something far worse. A serial offender who slipped through the cracks, and a mother whose guilt clouded the truth. Investigators sought an arrest warrant for the unknown suspect. But before they could move forward, a forensic technician reviewing new evidence walked into the room, holding a fresh AI scan of the torn shirt. "It found something else," she whispered. She placed the printout on the table. A partial fingerprint, invisible to humans in 2003, recovered through AI imaging in 2025. A fingerprint that matched someone still living in Brookhaven. Someone the AI flagged as high probability contact with evidence. Someone investigators had not expected. The name printed at the bottom. Detective Michael Rourke, lead investigator, 2003 Marsten case. Reed Collins looked up sharply. "Why," he murmured, was the detective's fingerprint on a scrap of the victim's shirt taken from her hand before the body was moved? The room fell silent. The case wasn't closing. It was exploding, because the fingerprint wasn't just on the evidence. It was inside the bloodstain itself. Meaning, he touched the evidence before the police ever arrived. Meaning, he was there. The technician whispered, "What do we do now?" Reed swallowed hard. "Find him." She shook her head. "He already knows." She turned the page. A second document sat underneath. AI alert. Subject location unknown. Phone disconnected. Vehicle missing. And the story ends with the investigator's words. "He's running." Because in Brookhaven, after 22 years, the wrong man was behind bars. And the right one had just vanished.